In this video, I spent 100 days in Minecraft SkyFactory. In this mod, packed to the brim with mobs, machines, and new foes, I figured it made sense to set some goals for these 100 days. I'll be going in with 3 main goals I want to achieve in this video. Firstly, I want to make glitched armor, which literally gives me creative flight, among other things. Second, I want to automate the killing of withers, one of the 3 bosses of Minecraft. And finally, I want to incorporate Supremium into a Tinker's Construct weapon and get that weapon to Master Tier or better. And I have to accomplish all this and more, starting on just one tree. This starting tree is known as a dirt tree in this mod. There are many trees that give you acorns and resin of their material. So from a dirt tree, I get dirt acorns, dirt resin, dirt saplings, and oak wood. So I spent the day only mainly growing and chopping dirt trees. Since sprinting is equivalent to bone meal in this mod, I could harvest a lot of trees, allowing me to also eventually make a drying rack by the end of the day. Day 2, I was able to make my second tree type, a petrified tree, for cobblestone. I made this by drawing 8 dirt acorns into petrified acorns and surrounding a dirt sapling with them for a petrified sapling. And before the end of the day, I also made a gravel and clay sapling. And on day 3, I made a wooden cauldron and used it to make an oak and sand sapling. And then on day 4, my family called and I forgot to pause the game, so I AFK'd the whole day. Day 5, I spent the whole day farming sand, gravel, and clay trees. I started day 6 by prepping all the sand, gravel, and clay I needed, and I started making it into grout, which I started smelting into seared bricks. Then, while it smelted, I used a sand sapling to make a birch sapling. And then I used that birch sapling, smelted it, and made a coal sapling. Day 7, I started using my seared bricks to build a smeltery, but I didn't have nearly enough, so I had to go back to farming gravel, sand, and clay trees. Day 8, I smelted more grout and altered the tree farm. Then I farmed gravel and sand trees. I started the next day by making a cobblestone cauldron and finishing the smeltery. Then I used coal, sand, clay, and gravel resin to make iron amber. Day 11, I smelted down the iron resin in the smeltery and poured it onto an acacia sapling to make an iron sapling. Then, in real life, I tried the same thing and got a pile of molten iron and a burnt tree. In SkyFactory, there are these things called bonsai pots, which grow trees and harvest them just in a 1-block space. So, because of this, they are the main components for auto tree farm. So, I combined them with hoppers and started automating some of the basic trees. I also finished the day by making bone and lapis saplings. Day 13, I made a cottonwood sapling. I started day 14 by making a wheat farm and cow seeds. One of the mods in this has mob seeds, which you can grow, and they act like spawn eggs once fully grown and harvested. So I grew that and made a cow. Then I trapped the cow and dropped an anvil on it to smush it into a jar, and now the cow will spend the rest of its miserable little life in this itty bitty jar to make me infinite milk. Free range animals, who? Day 16, I was able to make a redstone sapling and blue soil. There's a large tier list of dirt in this game that affects the growth rate of the sapling on top of it. So blue soil is essentially just a better version of dirt. The next day I was planning on upgrading all of my dirt to purple slimy dirt, but unfortunately most saplings can't grow on slimy dirt. So instead I would have to stick to mulch. And upon learning this, I set up an auto jungle sapling machine for unlimited cocoa beans and all the mulch. The only problem now is that the slimy dirt would give me a 4x growth boost, and tier 1 mulch only gives me a 1.5x boost. So this new method is significantly worse. Then I made lead and tin saplings on day 18. The next day I made a gold sapling. And then on day 20 I went on a huge sapling crafting spree. I crafted a silver sapling, a diamond sapling, a nickel sapling, and an emerald sapling. And then I finished the day by starting work on a mob farm. Mob farm work continued into both days 21 and 22. And was finished on day 23. Day 24, I needed Inferium Essence, which is a key component in many of the game's good armors, regardless of being inferior. Eventually, it can be grown via a farm, but to make Inferium seeds, I need Inferium Essence from killing mobs, and for that reason, I spent the day at my mob spawner getting the Inferium Essence. Then the next day I took a short break and built a larger crop plot for my farm. Then I got back to work on the mob farm and was able to make my first Inferium seed. On day 26 came the day of reckoning. The mobs had been through enough of constantly being stuck in a box and watching their friends die, so they rebelled. A creeper blew up, releasing not just the initial wave of mobs, but perpetually spawning mobs into my base. And they were successful in killing me a couple times. But luckily, they can't respawn. I can. So after a while, I was able to subdue the issue. Once the bright, beautiful relief of morning came to clean up the remaining mobs, I repaired the mob spawner and planted some chickens. I started day 28 by working on a chicken farm, and then I made a nether cake, which is the replacement for a nether portal in this mod. Day 29, I replaced the storage chests on my auto tree farms with filing cabinets. Filing cabinets are really good because imagine your PC. It has one unit of storage, which is a chest, while a pro server room has many storage outputs and can hold multiple chests in the same space, or in this case, files. The only downside being each file can only hold one item type. However, it can hold a stupid amount of that item. Then the next 3 days were spent working on these storage replacements, and I started day 33 by making an auto-cooked chicken farm, just like I would in vanilla. Then got back to tree farm upgrading. I put everything on hold day 34 because my current storage system was super annoying, and I needed a new one. So I made myself a simple storage system, essentially a poor man's ME system. Then I headed to the nether for quartz. The next day I set up systems of pipes connecting my mob farm to my storage system. Day 36, I was too distracted to play Minecraft. By Ritz mini cheese sandwiches. Have you ever had a better snack? I haven't, which is why it needed all my attention. I couldn't play Minecraft while trying to savor them. The next day, I started construction on an auto rubber maker. I spent all the next day on the rubber maker and finished it on day 39. Then I went to the nether for blaze rods, but narrowly made it out alive. I farmed wither skeletons until I could make a wither skeleton data module on day 40, which, at a high enough level, allows me to sim the killing of wither skeletons and the farming of their resources. Day 41, I started farming apple trees because I wanted to automate biopower, and apple trees produce apples, leaves, and saplings for biopower, as well as wood and sticks for combustion power. This work continued through days 42 and 43, so I finished it late on day 44. The next day, I started work on a flux system, which is a wireless power network. Also, I made a glowstone sapling and chorus fruit. Day 46, I was able to make a simulation chamber, and then I worked on leveling my wither skeleton data module. By killing more of the selected mob, you level the data module. The better the data module, the better the loot when you simulate their deaths. The next day, I started simulating the endless killing of wither skeletons. Also, I made an enderman data module. Day 48, I was able to make an end cake, but I decided that before I go in, I want to get better armor. So, I made all the components necessary for a trial chamber. Not this one. This one. Running these will allow me to make a very nice new set of armor, but first, I had to make a huge platform for the trials. It took me the whole of day 49 to complete the trial chamber. Then on day 50, I farmed my mob spawner to fill a zombie data module for the trial chamber, then looked into Android tech while waiting for the mobs to spawn. You're going to see me do this a lot in this video, but I never actually become an android, so don't worry about it. I kept killing mobs through day 51. Then, day 52, I got my zombie data module to the highest tier, self-aware, and attuned a trial key to it. Then I ran my first trial. Wave 1 was super easy, but for Wave 2 a glitch appeared, which is actually good because they dropped what I'm looking for. Waves 3 and 4 went down without a hitch, and by 5 they spawned blazes for some reason. Wave 6 was the first of these that started to feel like an actual proper horde with the number of zombies, but was still easy enough to deal with. Wave 7 was the first time I started to get worried because night was coming, and the naturally spawning mobs on this huge unlit platform combined with the trial mobs was a scary thought. But luckily Wave 7 was the last wave, so after a while of chipping away at them, I had won. After that fight, I was rewarded with a prize of 4 glitched hearts, which is the item I was after in this whole trial. However, I decided I didn't want to run a trial while it was dark out, so I spent the night crushing the hearts into dust, and used that dust to make ingots, which I then used to make a glitched sword. Then the next day I made another key and ran another trial. Kept running trials into day 54, and after 3 trials worth of hearts, I was able to make a full set of glitched armor, and complete the first of my 3 quests. And I'm super excited about this armor because its defense is equal to Emerald, except it also gives immunity to fall damage and flight. Now, with this new armor, I was confident enough to go to the end. There's actually no Ender Dragon in this mod, so I was just here to farm Enderman. But damn is it efficient, because by the end of day 55, I was able to get an Enderman data module to self-aware tier. What I learned pretty quick is that the glitched armor is great, but the glitched sword kinda sucks. So on day 56, I started planning out some Tinker's Construct weapons I wanted to make. I was able to make a series of casts, including a chisel head, knife blade, tool rod, crossguard, and sword blade. Day 57, I started smelting the required resources for my weapons. Then I forged all my weapon parts. I made 2 silver knife blades, 2 steel knife blades, a lead crossguard, a silver sword blade, and a copper tool rod. The next day I crafted my weapons. And by the way, I'm not super smart about Tinker's Construct and plan to play mods with it included again for the foreseeable future. So, if anyone is smart about it out there and wants to give me some tips, please feel free because I want to learn more about it so I can make better weapons. Anyways, with the parts I had previously made, I was able to make a rapier and a shuriken. Then spent the rest of the day leveling these new weapons. After a day of leveling, I was able to get my shuriken to a depth tier and started leveling my rapier. Day 60, I started working on an obsidian generator, but I'm kinda an idiot, so it took me to day 62 to complete it. Once the obby gen was complete, I got back to farming wither skeletons until the wither skeleton data module reached self-aware tier. I started attaching auto crafters and smelters to my tree farm on day 63, so, for example, instead of a bunch of iron acorns and resin, I would get iron ingots, which I applied to all my trees for their respective resources. Day 64, I started working on figuring out how to automate mob simulations. Since, if I can automate this, I can automate almost any mob drops in the game. And it ended up taking me until day 68 to finish this mob farm. The next day, after adding some extra upgrades to my weapons, I headed to the Nether to fight the Wither. And let me tell you, fighting the Wither is a lot easier with creative flight. After fighting and killing the Wither, I was able to use this newly killed mob to make a Wither data module. Day 70, I fought and killed more Withers to help level my data module. Then I made a Blaze data module and farmed them. By the end of day 71, I was able to max the Blaze data module. Day 72 was a sapling focus day. I was able to make a variety of new saplings, including a cobalt sapling, ardite sapling, a prosperity shard sapling, and once all that tree work was done, I made a master infused crystal, and then finished the day by beginning work on an auto wither farm. The next day, I made auto soul sand and wither skull generators to feed into the wither farm so it can be completely automated. It took me through to the end of day 74 to finish automating the soul sand and wither skull farms. I spent all of the next day playing with my pipe on the wither farm, because the spawning explosion kept destroying it through the barrier. And the next day, I just watched the wither farm to make sure everything was running smooth, and I wouldn't wake up one day to a wither free in my base. And thank God I did, because it took me right through to the end of day 77 to get it perfect. And that's 2 out of 3 tasks complete. I began work on Supremium Armor, the strongest armor in the game. After day 78, I had enough ingots for the new armor, but needed to work on some cores. And finally, on day 79, I crafted the Supremium Armor. As well as the Supremium Paxil, the best multi-tool in the game. I started day 80 by leveling my rapier. Then I got to work on tree farm improvements because sorting through these filing cabinets all the time is hella annoying. Day 81 I tried making some new Supremium weapons. Then I spent day 82 leveling my new shuriken. And the next day I got back to work on bettering my tree farm. The problem with these upgrades is the amount of plastic I use between the black hole storage units and energized furnaces. So day 84 I started work on an auto plastic maker. Finished the auto plastic maker, now I should have enough plastic for all my energized furnaces, black hole units, and some extra to contribute to the garbage patch. The next day I altered my simulation machine to make me Eyes of Ender. And then I got back to the tree farm work, but it was a big project and took me right the way through to day 91. Day 92, I spent leveling my weapons, and by day 95, I had my rapier maxed. Day 96, I took a break to make an inscriber, then went back to leveling my shuriken. I spent a long time leveling my shuriken, but by day 99, I was able to reach my goal and get it to master tier, and just in time for the 100 days, I managed to get all 3 of my tasks completed. And now, with that great victory behind me, came day 100, so I farmed.